Hi everybody, this is Paul with travelislife.org and I'm going to show you how I Pinterest. I'm going to do my best to run through everything quickly to keep this in just a few minutes length for video. Okay, so this is my website. I've got a blog and I've got an affiliate product shop on here. So here's the shop. I add a new product every single day. Here's an example of a product. You can see I've got one image that goes on the shop, and then hidden over here in the description is my Pinterest image if someone was to pin that. Another example, image, and then Pinterest. I've also got one other that you can't see, which is a hidden image for Facebook. I'll actually show you real quick what pops up. Okay, and you can see this third image right here that I make specifically for Facebook and Twitter when people share socially. Here is an example of a blog post, and same thing. I've got an image this time that I share for Facebook and Twitter and all that for my main image. And then if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, this is pretty big. I should shorten this up a little bit, but you can see I've got my other one. Here's one more example. Image for Facebook and Twitter and social networks, and then you scroll to the bottom, and in this case I have two different options for Pinterest. Now let's jump over to my Pinterest. You can see right now I've got 5.2K pins, 96 boards, about half of them are mine, half of them are group boards, and that's what I'm getting for monthly views right now. Here's my profile. You can see I've got the name of my business here, and then the name of my URL right next to it. My only pinned board is the best of Travel is Life, and then basically I start everything right here on this board. You can see I've got pretty big descriptions for every single board that I've got going on. So basically every pin starts here, and then I repin from this board onto my other various group boards, etc. Okay, let's see where to go from here. Let's talk about my process a little bit. I'm part of Tailwind. I'm part of this many tribes, maybe 20 or so. Obviously, I'm more active in some than others. Some I'm not active at all in. There's really no point in quitting right now, leaving a tribe. It doesn't really affect me if I am part of the tribe and don't use it. And then this is my own tribe, the Best of Travel Tailwind tribe that I started a few weeks ago. You can see my overview. Personally, I've reached about 4.3 million. That's what the tribe has done. How people find this is I created a landing page. When people search Best Travel Tailwind Tribe or travel-related Tailwind tribes, etc., they land on my landing page, which is #1 on Google. I've also got a YouTube video that pops up too. And then I have them fill out a form about the tribe. I list the rules here, 3x more than you share. You can check this out later if you want to, but I just wanted to show you how I get people to join my tribe. Essentially, I lead gen for it outside of it. They fill out my form. They check off that they agree to the rules. I've also got a group board. If they want to join, they can join, and that's it. So that's my Tailwind tribe. And like I said, I'm also a member of other Tailwind tribes. Here is my schedule queue. Currently, I'm doing about 150 per day, and that's just because I need to keep up with the amount of repins that I'm doing. You can see my schedule. I am going to slow this down eventually, though, in a few weeks and drop it down back to about 50. I just have a lot in the queue to catch up on, I guess. Here's my board list, and I'll talk about this more in just a minute. I'm also part of 3 groups that are related to my industry or my field. Pinterest for travel bloggers, that's one example of a repin exchange where you basically list your pin and then you repin everyone else's in the exchange. I'm part of Ultimate Pinterest Group for travel bloggers, another example of that. Both of these do daily threads. This one does, I think, cap of 50, or they've got a light thread of 25. This one doesn't cap the number per day, so it can get pretty high up there into the hundreds. And then Mapping Monday does a weekly thread for travelers only on Mondays, and you basically repin everything from the entire week. That also can sometimes get up to 200, but usually it's between 150 and 200 for this right here. So I occasionally involve myself in these repin threads to get some repin action going on. In addition to obviously being active in these tribes and submitting my content to the tribes. Okay, let's talk about group boards, because I don't really want to talk about Pinterest or I'm sorry, about Tailwind too much, because you probably know how that works already. And unless you're specific to travel, you don't really care about these groups, but there's probably a group related to what you do. So let me close some of these tabs up to make my life a little bit easier here. All right. My group boards. First of all, with boards, I made boards specific to every topic that I have, and a few others that I don't have. Interesting travel facts is a category on my blog. Travel gifts. I'm a very product-centric website, so I have that. You can see from my own boards, I made the custom board covers, viral travel videos, travel quotes. That's how you can tell that they're mine when I'm scrolling through. Is I've got my my own style of board cover, and then you can see that I'm part of a bunch of other travel groups. So this is my spreadsheet. I find group boards. I add them to my spreadsheet. I put the number of followers. Obviously, this changes, but it's good enough approximation. And then I apply. I keep notes on when I applied, how I applied, if I left a comment, if I left an email, whatever that deal is. And then I leave a date of when I was added. When I'm accepted to the board, it goes in green. When I apply for the board, it goes in yellow. And ones that I haven't done yet are, in white. You can see I've got a lot on here just for travel. I've got over 400, maybe close to 464 different group boards that I could eventually check out. I'm not going to join all of them, but it's just a place to keep track of all of them for the first place. After I get accepted and I put the date, it automatically comes over here, and I can see that between my group boards that I'm accepted to, I can almost reach 1.4 million people. My Facebook groups that I was showing you, those Mappin' Monday, Ultimate Pinterest groups, basically every pin on my website and every blog post that I have, I put on the spreadsheet right here, not counting the products, because I don't share the products in those groups. I just share the content. So here's my blog post content. Here's the pins. And when I put them into a certain group, I put the date next to that group. So that way I end up sharing different content week after week, and I don't waste my week or that day in that group, sharing the same thing. And I'll also see that I joined this group a little bit later than I did this group. So I've got some room to catch up in here. Mappin' Monday is only once a week, so I've got plenty of room once a week to go back and put the posts that I want to and re-syndicate some content that way. Now let's jump into my process for a second. So I message the group board owners and I get added to the group. When I do get added to the group, I add them to my list. So I come over here in my Tailwind. You can see I've got group boards for nomads only, U.S. destinations only, travel buyer guides, travel tips. And the reason I have such different lists is because every group board has different rules, and I don't want to break those rules. So if it's a group board that's only about destinations, for example, I don't want to post product review or travel buyer guide. That's going to break the rules of the group. So I only do this for my destinations. Destinations only. Let's see what else I got here. General travel, travel tip list. So this helps me stay organized. And then I've also got boards for products that are, if I want to do a daily product, I usually add them to all these boards. And I've got products heavy. If I've got one that I really want to add, I can put them on these boards, but I don't abuse the privilege. I only occasionally add products to these boards, to give you an example. So after I join a group board, I add them to that list or whatever lists are appropriate. Then I add, once I'm accepted, I also add my old posts. So I come back to my Pinterest here and I go to my best of. Let's say I just got added to so like for example, I just got added to travel blogging. Once I join that, I'm going to go back over here and basically pick my own content and then choose which and then basically interval set these to my new board, because in the future, as I add new posts, I'll be able to add them to my list. But I just got approved to the board, and I don't have any of these old ones on the board, so I'm going to schedule these over the next month or so to periodically go to my new board. That way, it's not a waste. I have a new board. I might as well post my old stuff to it, but obviously not all at one time. And then when I basically get a new pin, I add them to my main board. I add them to my travel tribes. I add them to my board list, like the product list or the general buyers. That spreads them out across, the group boards. And then I have my 3 groups that I'm a part of right here. And really, that's about it. I mean, that's essentially a quick overview of my process of what I've got going on. Specifically, like I said, I do write pretty good descriptions for every single one of my own personal boards. My board names are kind of long, maybe a little bit too long. I'll show you one other example. Travel gifts, right? Travel gift, best gifts for travelers. Travel gear and accessories brought to you that make perfect gifts, blah, blah, blah. So you get the idea. And then, was there anything else I wanted to show you? I believe that's it for now. That's kind of a quick overview of my process. The only other thing I could show you is just the pins itself. Actually, let me do that. These are my descriptions. When you're on the blog and you see my pin here, I'm going to show you the back end real fast. What I'm doing. Slightly slow connection. Okay, you can see I've got the image, and this is what I was talking about the other day in terms of adding the meta content. I've got my data pin description, right? That's different from my alt image and all that stuff. You can see I've got alt, women's rainproof. That's got to be short. That's for Google. Then I've got my data pin description, which is specific for, for Pinterest. My data pin URL, which brings it back to this particular product page. And then my data pin media, which links to this particular thing. And then lastly, the pin ID, which references the primary pin that I put onto my best of travel blog board. Okay, that's all I got. If you see any ways that I could improve my process, please let me know, because this is a work in progress, but that's a quick overview of what I got going on.